So, Peach, obviously I've known you for a long time, but will you please tell our audience who you are?
Well, my name is Pitts Johnson. I'm a local boy. I grew up here in Palo Alto. I went to high school and college here, and went to graduate school back east. I was in the military for a while, and didn't think about venture capital until I met Bill Draper, who lived next door to me when my first job in a steel mill. And then he joined his father in a venture firm and asked me to join him in another firm later. So in 1962, I formed a venture capital firm with Bill Draper, and I've been doing this ever since.
So would you say that your venture fund with Bill Draper was the first one in Silicon Valley?
Well, no, it wasn't, but we were early. But his father's fund, called Draper Gaither, and was before us. But there weren't very many deals, and there wasn't very much money, so we had to go around looking for things to do. We'd go to lawyers and ask them, we'd go to accountants and ask them, and try to find deals. And so we did some good deals, and I think we were partly lucky and partly we were skillful.
The venture capital is pretty much the U.S. phenomenon, but now that Eastern Europe and other countries want to start investing in startups, what would be your recommendation?
Well, I would say they have been doing it for 10, 15 years.
Well, you tried doing a fund.
No, but I meant Western Europe has been doing it a lot for 10, 15 years. France, Germany, England, Spain to a certain extent, Italy, and even Greece. But as far as Central and Eastern Europe, they've just gotten going the last 10 years. Poland a while back. Russia has had some false starts because the government was too involved.
Well, yeah.
Ukraine, not really. But Eastern Europe is getting going now.
Okay. So you've had several decades of actively investing in companies. Would you say that some mistakes investors make are avoidable, or they just happen, there is nothing you can do?
The biggest mistake, there are two major mistakes people make. One is hearing about a product, thinking it's good, and not figuring out what the market is or how the market can be made for that product. So lack of market understanding, lack of market research. Sometimes you've got to create a market for your own product, like Apple did. But basically, lack of market thinking is the biggest hazard. And then you have to have people who really wanted to succeed. You can't have people who sort of do this as a 9-to-5 job. Starting a company is a really involved business.
So if you cannot have, say, both, and you can choose either betting on a team or the technology, I know that some people say it's all about people. Some people say that technology is something that will take the company out.
Well, some people, whenever you say it's all about that, you're probably wrong. It's a combination of really good people, really good technology, serving a really good market. But the technology only makes sense if it serves a market, or a market can be made for it.
And one final question. What is your favorite investment of your lifetime?
Well, it has to be Amgen.
Tell people, maybe they don't know what Amgen is.
Well, Amgen is called, the real name of it to start with was Applied Molecular Genetics, and a very good friend of mine named Bill Bowes did 3 deals. Applied Molecular Genetics, Applied Biosystems, and Applied Microcircuits. And they all succeeded, but he luckily invited me to join him in those, and did. And so I worked very hard while Bill was the primary guy. He and I, in the early days, really guided the company in major ways, but I was definitely number 2. But they called me a founder, and I've always been complimented by that. But anyway, it was the most successful, but it was also the most fun in terms of knowing I was influencing what was happening, along with Bill.
when they were a tiny startup, I remember briefly, did they have something with LA Lilly? How do you protect your investment?
With what?
LA Lilly, I think.
They had to deal with Johnson and Johnson.
Johnson and Johnson.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you protect your investment
Well,
all the way?
Johnson and Johnson was a difficult partner then, although they turned out in the end in other deals to be a very strong company. But they changed management. But they were provided with capital and some marketing rights, and I didn't like their behavior. Later on, I became a Johnson & Johnson fan because they changed presidents and behaved much better. But Johnson & Johnson did play a role in financing and guiding us in the early days, along with a couple of other companies.
Mm-hmm. So Amgen was a startup, and the first check was for how many million?
Well, the very, very beginning, it wasn't any millions at all.
Not even a million.
It was a couple $100,000, and that was done in May. Bill got it incorporated, and he asked me to join him. And I started working on it, and by October, I made an investment of $60,000.
And now the market cap is?
Oh boy, I don't remember, but it's
it definitely
several tens of billions. Probably, let's say 40 billion.
I would say that was a good investment.
It was a good investment.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you for doing this. This is fun.